Welcome back, future mining leaders. I'm thrilled to have you join me again on From Tech Expert to Team Leader. If you've made it to episode 2, congratulations. You're already committed to becoming not just a technical expert, but a true leader in this industry. In the last episode, I introduced the power of soft skills and how they shape leadership. Today, I'm going to zoom in on one of the most crucial soft skills you need to master: communication. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I communicate all the time. I write reports, give presentations, send emails, and you're absolutely right. But here's the million-dollar question. Are you really getting your message across, especially to those who don't share your technical background? Let's set the stage. Imagine you're in a meeting with community leaders discussing a new extraction method you're excited about. You start explaining particle size distribution, hydrometallurgical processes, and their environmental benefits. But before you can finish, you notice their eyes glazing over. You've lost them, and you haven't even gotten to the good part yet. This used to happen to me all the time. And maybe it sounds familiar to you. Don't worry, you're not alone. This is a common pitfall for technical experts moving into leadership roles. The truth is, your ability to translate complex technical concepts into language that resonates with non-technical stakeholders is worth its weight in gold. And here's the key. It's not about dumbing things down. It's about building bridges of understanding. So how can we master this art of technical translation? I'm going to walk you through 3 strategies that will help you communicate more effectively with any audience. First, know your audience. Before you even begin speaking, pause and ask yourself, who am I talking to? What's their background? What matters most to them? For instance, if you're presenting a new mining technique to a group of investors, they'll be more interested in how it impacts profitability and risk reduction. But if you're speaking with environmental regulators, they're going to care more about compliance and safety. The more you can tailor your message to the priorities of your audience, the more engaged they'll be. Secondly, use analogies and real-world examples. We all know how complex mining processes can get, so sometimes it's helpful to relate technical concepts to something in everyday life. For example, let's say you're explaining how a filter press works. Instead of diving straight into the science, you could say, think of a filter press like squeezing water out of a sponge. The press helps us remove the excess water from the material, so we're left with a drier, more concentrated product. It's the same principle. Simple analogies can turn abstract ideas into something tangible and relatable. And third, this was key for me. Focus on the why before the how. Non-technical stakeholders are often more concerned with outcomes than processes. So start by explaining why something matters before you dive into the detail of how it works. For example, instead of launching into a technical explanation of a safety improvement, you could start with, this new method will significantly reduce the risk of accidents on site, protecting both our workers and the environment. Here's how it works. By starting with the why, you give your audience a reason to stay engaged as you explain the boring technical parts. Now let's put this into practice. Say you're explaining grade control to a group of new employees who come from various backgrounds. You might say, Grade control is like being a treasure hunter in a giant sandbox. Our job is to figure out where the valuable minerals are and how much of them we have. Just like a treasure map guides a pirate to X that marks the spot, grade control helps us to plan where to dig for the most valuable deposits. This affects everything from how we plan our operation to how much profit we can make from every truckload. See how that breaks a complex concept into something that everyone can understand? Here's a quick mental exercise to help you build your translation muscles. Whenever you catch yourself using a technical term, ask yourself, if I couldn't use this word, how would I explain the concept? This small habit will push you to find clearer, simpler ways to communicate your ideas without losing the core message. Now, some of you might be thinking, what if I simplify things too much and come across as condescending? That's a valid concern. The key is to start simple and then read your audience. If they're following along, you can gradually introduce more technical details. It's all about finding that sweet spot where your message is clear but not oversimplified. Remember, effective communication isn't just about being understood, it's about inspiring action and building relationships. If you can master the art of translating text speak, you'll not only be a more effective leader, but you'll also open the door to collaborations and new opportunities. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about a technical concept you deal with every day. How would you explain it to a 10-year-old? If you can do that, you're well on your way to becoming a master communicator. Thanks for tuning into this episode. In the next episode, I'm going to dive into emotional intelligence, the secret ingredient that can make or break your leadership journey in the mining industry. Until then, keep practicing your translation skills. After all, if you can't explain it simply, you may not understand it well enough. See you next time, and remember, in leadership, clear communication is pure gold.